Good morning, class. It's great to see you today. Okay, how many of you remember what the word exoduster means? Raise your hand. Very good. Some of you, very good. Review is exodusters were African Americans who were free from slavery, but they went and they owned land with a farmer who did not let them leave easily. And some of them had big dreams to leave and own their own land. And today we are going to read a story just about that, of how hard work and preservation and dedication get you what you want. And in this book, follow me down to Nicodemus town. Just one moment. I don't know if any of you have ever heard of the word Nicodemus, but that's a town in Kansas, and we live in Kansas. So we have something in common with this book, which will be very interesting as we read. I want you to make a note. As we are reading this story, when we're done, we are going to fill out a sequence chart. Okay, you're going to put the title of the book, what happens first, next, and so on. So think very hard and listen very closely as we read this story, because it is very good and they have some good sequences in this story. So think and listen very hard. Thank you. Follow me down to Nicodemus town. Follow me down to Nicodemus town. Based on the history of African American pioneer settlement, I'm going to close the book for a minute and discuss who knows what a pioneer lived in when they first moved to Kansas. Anyone? That's correct. A dugout. Very good. And I've been inside a dugout, and it is very interesting. It's cool inside there, underneath that hill, and there's all sorts of tables and beds. It's very interesting. Someday, I hope you get to go into a dugout as well. If you ever go to a museum, you might be able to see one there. Follow me down to Nicodemus town. Let's get started. The woo-wee follow-me holler of the 6 o'clock train rumbled into Dee Dee's dreams. She rode across the prairie so wide, even the angels couldn't see the end of it. Her family had a plan. They would own a place in that open land. The Pattons wanted to leave sharecropping behind and have a farm of their own. They needed to make extra money to do it. When her day work was done, Dee Dee's mama sewed dresses so fine they practically got up and danced. Her papa worked the fields by day and built furniture by night. And Dee Dee made a shoe shine box to spiff up the shoes of the folks at the train station. Do you think they were tired after working all day long and then having to work some more when they were done? Yes, I bet they were very tired. She watched shiny shoe after shiny shoe step into those trains, knowing the pennies in her pocket would pile up for years before her family could pay off their debt. They all worked from sun climb to sun slide, but still owed more than they made to the landowner, Mr. Sills. He kept them tied to the fields in a house they didn't own. But good things come to those who pray. That fall, Dee Dee had spied a notice offering land for colored folks in Kansas. If they moved there and started a farm, they'd own it in a few years' time. The paper told of Nicodemus, a soon-to-be-built town that'd be just short of a wagon ride away. Dee Dee ran that notice right to her papa and said, "Why, Dee Dee, you delivered a star we can hang our dreams on." After that, they worked twice as long and 3 times as hard until their penny bank began to fill. So they worked very, very hard because they had a dream and they wanted that dream to come true. One afternoon, a man with a shoe half shined heard the last call to board the train. He ran off so quick he dropped his wallet. Dee Dee scooped it up and raced after him, shouting the whole way. The man reached out the train window and claimed it. Do you think Dee Dee did the right thing by giving the wallet back to the owner? Yes, I think she did. Very good. Turned out, Dee Dee chased down a miracle. A letter came to a station for the shoe shine girl. with a slip of heaven inside. Do you think there's really heaven inside them? Well, let's find out. The man who dropped the wallet had sent her a reward of $10. That's a lot of money back then. Dee Dee and her parents whooped and hollered enough to knock the nails out of the walls. With Papa's furniture money, the cotton he brought in, and Mama's dress money, they had enough money to pay their debts and stake a claim. Dee Dee's shoeshine money would buy the seeds for planting. They paid Mr. Sills and bid him good riddance. They stepped right up the station window and bought tickets with the $10 reward money. Those little slips of paper felt like wings. Why do you think they felt like wings? Maybe because they were chasing their dreams and finally going to see them come true. The Pattons boarded the train and rode off with their eyes set on the land they'd call their own. In Kansas, they found wheat-worthy prairie, joining the group of fellow settlers. They took a final trek. What do you think trek means? Yes, journey. A journey, yes. Nicodemus together, working day by day, they dug themselves a home in the bank of the Solomon River. Dee Dee was the first to use the door she helped Papa hang. Can you see that? That's a dugout, but it's very cool. Papa and Dee Dee marked the boundaries. What do you think a boundary means? Yes, a perimeter. Yes, that's a good word. Good job. Of their claim with stakes. Over the next few years, they would have to prove upon the land. Fence it, farm it, and register the deed. What's a deed? Yes, a document. A document. Very good. You guys are doing wonderful. But now, with a full winter between them and the fields they needed to plow, the Pattons didn't have much more than stars to guide them, stories to tell, and plans to make. With a sling, Dee Dee shot supper until even the prairie dogs grew scarce. Do you think they were maybe hungry? If the prairie dogs went scarce and the food they had went scarce? Yes, I think they were hungry. We'll find out. When their bellies set to biting, they were very hungry. Dee Dee went out with her Papa to hunt further field. She went over a rise and lost sight of the river, then came face to face with an Indian man taller than their house. He held a rabbit in each hand, saying, "Saw your chimney smoke go thin. Figure your food might be as scarce as your fuel." That's how the Pattons make shankasabe of the children of the middle waters. The white folks call them Osage, but they say they're the Neo-Konska. So they met an Indian man, a very kind one, I'm sure. The Pattons called themselves blessed, for all their new neighbors brought food, fellowship, and most precious gift of all, hope for the spring to come. What do you think fellowship means? Anyone? Yes, friendship. That's a very good job. You guys are awesome. Good job. In the winter months, Mama set to sewing. Dee Dee basted. Papa worked out where to plant. When the ground thawed, Dee Dee sowed seeds with Papa, planting a garden with Mama, and waited for things to grow. That's my favorite time of year, spring, when you get to plant all your plants and vegetables and flowers. When the small prairie flowers started to bloom, plenty more folks poured into Nicodemus. The town went like a revival tent. A new hotel, a bank, and a store. When Dee Dee's family rode into town on Sundays, women slipped orders for church-going dresses into Mama's hand. Isn't that a beautiful picture? Oh my goodness, that's so beautiful. I think it gives me a vision of hope as things are being built. It's wonderful. On occasion, Dee Dee made a mail run to town. One afternoon, she heard Mr. Zachary say he had a full house in the hotel. Taking a deep breath, Dee Dee asked, "You think any of them folks need their shoes shined?" Quicker than a wink, he plopped his own shoe on the chair. "I sure could use a shine." And that's how Dee Dee got a job shining shoes at the St. Francis Hotel. Dee Dee held posts for Papa, pinned prints for Mama, and tended the garden and shined the shoes in the hotel stoop until the stars came out and guided her home. What do you think the word stoop means? Stoop, S-T-O-O-P. I'll tell you, it means a porch. Isn't that very cool? In a few years' time, the Pattons had fences up and fields harvested on the land they sowed. Thanks to helping hands of the folks of the Nicodemus and the children of the Middle Waters, they could prove their land claim. Papa let Dee Dee carry her hotel shoeshine money all the way to the homestead office to register the deed. She brought the deed back to Mama and baby Gabe. They hung it on a frame Dee Dee made from prairie grass around their home. The place, now theirs, true and clear. That Sunday, they had a party on the banks of the Solomon. Reverend Hickman prayed over their home. The folks of the Nicodemus gathered at tables brought from every dugout. Shankasabe and his family arrived with all the food he could carry. Mama brought out enough pies to feed all of Kansas, and the Pattons finally had land of their own. This is such a good story. But most important, they had a home where they could tell stories, use the stars to guide them, and make plans for things to come. Do you think their dreams came true? Yes, with hard work and dedication, their dreams did come true. And if you guys have a dream and you work very hard and stay dedicated, I know your dreams can come true too. Okay, we're going to look at our sequence chart. I want you to write down what happens first, next, and so on. And maybe use a few words we talked about. Some vocabulary words we discussed, maybe deed, dedication. What's another word we talked about? Let me check. Tended. What does tended mean? She tended the garden. She took care of or supervised. She took care of it. So how about stoop? Who remembers what the word stoop? That's kind of a strange word, isn't it? Stoop. Yes, porch. Good job. Good job. Okay, and I want you to use the word trek. That's a good one. A trek, a journey. Okay, so I hope you all do a great job on your worksheet and try very hard. Okay, thank you.